Nice one. All right, lads. Welcome back.
Hello.
How are you doing? Yeah. How are things? How have you been since the last time I spoke to you about 5 minutes ago?
Good.
Very
yeah,
good.
nothing much has changed since then, but
Flat out.
flat out.
Flat out. Absolutely flat out on the maps.
Always.
Strung out on the maps, as they say.
Can't get enough of the maps.
That's it. And while we're on topic, that's why we're here today. We're talking about maps, talking about topographic maps in particular. Obviously, HiiKER is a map app, specifically a hiking maps app. But as you have probably told from all the social media stuff that we do, all the emails that we send out, and I'm annoying you guys with, is that we invest a lot of time, effort, and money into getting the best possible maps that are available in the world onto the platform. It's something that we've been, it's where we invest probably the vast majority of our time is trying to dedicating to get the best maps onto the platform. So we wanted to dedicate a show or 30 minutes to talk about maps and how to access them, and just in general, just talk about maps. Yeah, we're all map nerds here. I don't think we're probably preaching to the choir. But yeah, we're going to talk about maps.
I had a question for Paul, actually. When you first created the HiiKER app, which was way back when, the Waymark Trails app, what maps were you using? Were you just using OSM maps?
I was just using OSM maps. They were OSM maps. It's very interesting. I was so inexperienced at the time. Within the app itself, I didn't know how to add lines to the map. So what I did was directly in Mapbox itself, I styled maps where I embedded the line of the trail in the map itself. So you know the way we create our styles. Well, I created a style and I embedded the line of the Wicklow Way at the time.
You had a pre-built map for each trail.
I had a pre-built map for you. I at one point in time had a pre-built app for each trail, and then I gained the efficiency of pre-built maps for each trail, and thankfully it's significantly beyond that now. But yeah, that was it. It was an OSM map. I styled it myself directly in kind of Mapbox kind of studio at the time there. And as I said, all of the content, even the markers, like the trail markers, were all directly embedded into the map.
And what was the first map, the first other map that you put into the platform?
The first other map. Oh no, sorry, I was quite advanced at the time. I did have a satellite map as well.
So you had two maps for each trail.
I had two maps for each trail, which was quite a job to create it. It was quite a job to create it, but yeah, two maps for each trail. I actually, honestly, I even remember the way I'd structured it with like the wording and stuff like that. Oh god, it was so messy. But two maps for each trail, and then the first kind of other map that would have been added, I think it wouldn't have been until the HiiKER map, the HiiKER app was released. And at that point in time, obviously, we started to add, literally hundreds pretty quickly. So yeah.
Well, like we had I remember back, it was like early days HiiKER, maybe it was still Waymark Trails at the time. You had the Spinal Tap layer.
Yeah,
I remember. Oh yes. Sorry, that was an in-between period.
Can we get that up on screen at some point in this? Can we try and dig that out, because that was a lot of fun. I remember when you put that on, or sorry, it was kind of hidden. People couldn't really find it.
Hidden. I have it.
I remember Impala just reminded me out of nowhere. He's like, lads, I can't believe you have this. So, like, Paul, hopefully you can find it.
Can I share it right now?
Yeah. Oh, go for it. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going first. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, there it is.
This is Spinal Map.
Spinal Map.
Can you rectangularize your screen? Can you in?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe like that. Maybe a little bit better anyway. But
you'll be able to zoom in anyway.
Yeah, zoom in.
This was the spine. You know what the very funny thing about this is, now that we bring up Spinal Map? My kids are just crazy about the Spinal Tap song called Stonehenge. So every morning is a morning for me listening to Stonehenge by Spinal Tap, which is somewhere around here in Salisbury. But yeah, that's so I am actually sick of Spinal Tap, if I'm honest, and I'm sick of Spinal Map as well. Yeah.
But like they don't they like change the names of some of the places as well. Like
Yes.
Hull in northern England is called Hell.
Yes, and then any country with United in the name is called Metal. So you've got the Metal Kingdom, and I believe if we go over here, it's the Metal States of America.
Very good.
So yeah, that is
bring back Spinal Map.
Yeah, exactly.
So what other maps then did you move on to?
So I think from there I'll stop sharing Spinal Map. From there, I'm trying to remember what we had at that time. We had 3 or 4 different maps. Oh, I do remember we did have like a cycling kind of map for a while. You remember Open Cycle Map, and which some people definitely missed, and something to perhaps look at for the future. But we had the cycling map. Then we had like our outdoors map. We even had like a kind of a street style map. We had a dark style map as well that was kind of like used for kind of nighttime.
There's a couple of variations on kind of simplified topo maps that we just ended up kind of removing at a point. But I did like the idea of some of those maps, particularly like the dark map and things. I like everything in dark mode. Obviously, you'll see that throughout the app. Yeah, I did like some of those maps that we could potentially bring back on.
Yeah, like I think that the big thing is they were all OSM maps at the end of the day, and I think that was kind of that was the big kind of innovation in a way. I was like, wait a second here. There's such incredibly better maps out there by incredible cartographers. And I think that was kind of an eye-opening moment. And I remember we were all in, the workspace called Dogpatch Labs at the time there. And we made that call of like, guys, if we want to make a really good hiking app, we have to have, lo and behold, really, really good maps. And for me, I think that was a pretty transformative moment.
Yeah, I think it was around that time that you had done your MS1 as well, your MS1 and your MS2, your mountain skills courses, and that like I did mine not long after, and I genuinely that was a turning point for me as well, where I was like, oh my God, this is not OSM, like this is a different level altogether. Like the level of detail that goes into these maps is completely like unrivaled. Like OSM is fantastic. It's unbelievable. It's an incredible global database, but like the work and effort that goes into creating these local maps is just, it's incredible.
For sure.
So Pete, do you want to bring up your screen there now?
Yeah, for sure. It's here. Oh, is this my screen?
Yep. Oh my, are you frozen again? Are you?
Frozen.
Are these my hands?
Are those my feet? 1 second. Let me rejig my setup.
While I'm standing still here in the background, I'm scrambling to attach my phone. In the panic, I'll be the Fallout boy again here.
If anybody, if you're watching this and you have questions about the maps that we use, how to access them, anything like that, any like questions about like maybe maps that you want to see on HiiKER that are currently not there, throw them into the comments. We read out questions throughout this, so definitely get engaged in the conversation. Get involved. Get involved. Also, join the Facebook group.
Join the Facebook group.
Facebook group is where we are going to be. I don't know why we're all so small on the screen. Now that's better. Yeah, we're going to be talking all things maps, all things apps. We get a lot of really good conversations going in the Facebook group lately. People giving like really, really good feedback, and it's while you can contact us in so many different ways these days, we have a direct support channel in the app itself. The Facebook group is it's a nice way to kind of talk to the community and maybe find interesting ways to use the app. So I think Pete's back up and running there now.
I'm back. It's always it always takes me 2 times. So yes, I suppose just a quick. I suppose it's something that we've done a few times before is run through maps and map adjacent topics on our platform. But we love maps. We decided to go back and talk about it again. But the hub for maps on HiiKER. So if you're on any of our map pages, including the main map page and trail map pages, your own planned routes, you'll always find this maps button at the bottom of the map here. So when you tap on that, it'll give you essentially all of the different map collections that we have available on the app. The top row being our free maps, which are the standard map, the satellite map, and a nice kind of parks layer that we've created. And then at the bottom here, we have our hiking collections, our Pro Plus map collections, which you get access to when you sign up to Pro Plus. So just to run through some of the basic maps here that we have. So the standard layer is obviously our quick access kind of base layer for everyone to enjoy, and it's probably the first one that you'll see when you hit the platform for the first time. And just to run through that, it's kind of it's a stylized base level kind of topographic map from our kind of Mapbox partners, and we have overlaid it with all of the trail information that you can find on HiiKER. So if you see all of these kind of red kind of veins running through the different areas, that's where our trail coverage is. So that's just interesting in itself. You can see kind of different hotspots of trails all around the world. And when you zoom in, they kind of become more apparent as you zoom in. So I'm just going into the Smoky Mountains here, and you can see all the different kind of trails available. Just to give you an insight into how much kind of data we have on the platform. And if you're looking to hike in a particular area and you want to use HiiKER, you can kind of get quick access to all of the different hikes that we have available to you on the platform. Then obviously we have our satellite map, which is obviously based on the photo imagery taken by NASA, I think, are part of these contributors to the Mapbox satellite maps, they're just great. They're super clear. We had in our previous iterations of the app, we had satellite maps which just did not compare, and it's one of the reasons why we moved over in our mapping provider, because these are just incredible in the detail that you can get. You can nearly look into that person's back garden, which I won't, but you can in the privacy of your own home. And then our parks layer is something that we added recently, which is it's kind of a work in progress at the moment. I think we do have some national parks kind of laid out within this map that you can go and access. So each of them are kind of blocked out in this kind of dark green. So nice one to look around. And then we also have some of the national Forest Service maps in the US, and hopefully we'll be adding kind of more of these type maps onto this layer in due time all around the world to access for free, which will be a nice feature. So yeah, there are basic maps, but when it comes to the real power of what HiiKER offers, particularly for Pro Plus users, it's in our hiking collections. We in a previous iteration of the app, you used to be able to go and kind of locate different map providers. You used to be able to kind of look for Harvey maps, access them, and load them in. But we decided to collate all this information and essentially kind of set ourselves a goal in as short a time as possible to create these global map collections of independent hiking map providers. And to walk, and you can learn about them, I suppose. That's probably a good place to start. So if you see these little cells at the bottom here, you can tap on the info icons. So if I tap on the info icon for Hiking Plus, first of all, it'll give you a coverage map of where we have coverage for this collection. So you can see, particularly in Europe, we're starting to build up a really nice collection of independent mapping providers, East, West and Ireland, Harvey in the UK, and Compass and some Italian mapping providers in mainland, and then Anavasi in Greece, and some really interesting ones over in the US, and Purple Lizard and Map the Experience. So part of my job in HiiKER is to keep building on this, and it's become a kind of a secondary kind of life task for me as I go about my days, kind of constantly kind of processing maps and trying to discover new areas, and it's been a really interesting project over the last year or so, just to keep kind of building onto these. I'll jump into the national collection then as well, which contains more of our kind of government-based official kind of national topographic maps. So you'll see in Ireland we have OSI, in the UK we have OSGB, and then we have the IGNs and some of the kind of national Topo maps that are around, and then USGS. I'm currently processing the NRCan Canadian maps, which will be a nice addition for any Canadian visitors or natives. So that's kind of processing at the moment. I'll also be filling in that gap, which is another thing that I hate about this coverage map, and the fact that I have to fill in the gaps. But I have come to an
Like a jigsaw.
agreement. I've come into an agreement with the Belgian government, and they are sending over their maps ASAP, so we'll have them soon. So
Nice.
yeah,
Oh,
that's
waffles as well too.
the which ones?
Hopefully some waffles as well. Love those Belgian waffles.
Oh yeah.
Some good old Belgian waffles. And yeah, the historical collection is something that is probably lesser talked about. Not for me because I love to talk about it. But it's one that we don't have as much coverage on. We are adding to it as much as possible. And wherever we can get the information, we try and kind of source it and line it up for processing. But currently we only have Ireland and the UK and the US coverage there. But yeah, I suppose that's a little bit.
It would be,
collections.
sorry, Pete, just to mention there, it would be really great to hear people's demand for these. I think if this is very much a poll. If people are looking for historical maps in other areas, reach out, send us a message, hassle us, scream at us, because that definitely helps to prioritize. So I would strongly encourage that if there's areas that are missing. I will go as far as saying we are experts at finding these amazing historical maps, at finding the contacts and getting them. So definitely scream and shout, and it will work out.
It will. Yeah, at the moment we're kind of just prioritizing areas of growth where we see our app kind of spreading around the world, and we're targeting countries. They're mostly in Europe and the Americas, but we're definitely seeing interest in other places that we want to add maps, including those Nepali maps, which I still haven't added, which have been haunting me for a while. But yeah. So essentially, when you activate a collection, so I've just activated the National Plus collection here, and you'll see again it gives you a bit of an overview of all of the coverage areas. But as soon as you start to zoom into an area that you're particularly interested in, so I'm going to zoom into Snowdonia here, wherever that is, you'll kind of slowly see that the OSGB maps start to reveal themselves. And then further in, you'll start to see that the different scales reveal themselves as well. And that's in some particular areas. Some areas we only have a singular scale, I think including Ireland. So you'll only see one scale, but that's I've had a couple of people over the last month or so come to me and gone, oh, I've activated my maps, and all I see is these yellow areas. But just to make sure that you're zooming into the area that you want to look at, the maps will reveal themselves in nice, crispy cleanness.
Just ask Paul something there on that. What I guess the way that we display maps is very different to everybody else. Like all the other mapping apps that have multiple different mapping providers. Why do we display it this way and not like choose your mapping provider instead?
It's a really good question, and I suppose people who have used the app for long enough would know that is a way that we did use it for a long time, where you would like select the different maps you wanted on there. But ultimately, what we wanted is the simplest experience possible to find really great maps in really good areas. What I love now in HiiKER is if you go to Germany, you don't need to know what the best kind of private topographic map is or what the best national map is. We do that heavy lifting for you. You simply go to HiiKER, you tap on the national map there, and you will see the best national map of Germany. If you want to see the best kind of private provider of map in Germany, go to maps there, tap on the hiking layer, and it's as simple as that. There's no heavy lifting of, oh, this is a great map there, and this is a really good map over there. It's all curated in there for you. And for me, what was most important is just the simplicity of that experience, because I want to help as many people appreciate how amazing these maps are. And I think this interface that we've come up with is the mechanism for that.
Yeah, we still do, and I'm sure there's a couple of people listening who are diehards of the old layering system, where you could essentially kind of build your own map collections and choose different maps to layer on top of each other, and you could change the layers so they kind of sit in different areas. You could change the opacities of different layers, which was great, but it was an absolute nightmare for us because we had to explain to every second person how to use it. Now, the people that used it and used it well, they got great value out of it, but I hope they can see that this system is very simple, and you don't need to go and create your own map collections. They're just within 2 clicks. You can go and change maps. It's even quicker. It used to be.
It was a hotly debated topic, to put it lightly, in the HiiKER towers. Like we debated about this for a very long time, and eventually kind of came around to Paul's vision of this. Definitely, we still get. In fact, today I actually had someone today send an email complaining about the way that we present maps, but that is the 1 in 100, or maybe the 1 in 1,000, or maybe the 1 in 10,000 that complain about this. It is just different, and once you kind of see it from the perspective of just quickly clicking one button and knowing that you're gonna get the best map in that area, and it's not like there's 20 different maps for one particular area. There's normally a national map and a local map. Maybe in the odd occasions, I know in the United States there will be some multiple maps for a specific location, but you're kind of rest assured that we're going to house the best map. So it's literally going to be the best map that you can possibly get there, and that's going to cause some contention as well. Like that is going to cause contention, because we have to choose what that map is, and generally that will be what you choose. You know, as users, you'll vote, you'll tell us what is the map that you want to see most in that particular area. So that's kind of how it works.
Yeah.
So
and again, not to forget those beautiful historical maps as well, which is something I love. You know, even Pete jumping there, to be able to zoom back 200, 300 years in time in the tap of a button to see what an area looked like, I think is just, again, for me, it's something. I always download the historical map for any given hike that I'm going on there, because I always just, I love to see when I see like a bit of a stone wall there, I'm like, I wonder how long that's been there.
Yeah. I have a couple of questions in there. So first is sorry, pronouncing your name terribly here. Hi, how do you access the legend on each map? Now, that's I think this actually came up there recently enough. You can't, is the short answer. Sorry to burst that bubble. You can't access that at the moment. It's not something that we have, but it is something that we are trying to figure out. And Paul, maybe do you have any kind of, or Pete actually, sorry, from a design perspective, have you kind of thought about like where we might be able to place these?
Yeah. We have been doing some kind of work on our map hierarchy, if you will. So we've been kind of building out some pages on the web that will give you a little bit more information on map providers and the maps that they offer within our platform. And they will be hopefully updated soon to provide some detail on legends and some information just that you can look at home. And then we want to bring that information into the app. So on those information pages that I showed you earlier, hopefully I'll be able to bring that stuff to the forefront there too. But yeah, legends can be a tricky one to collect, really, actually. But yeah, something that'll be coming soon, we hope.
Yeah. We have another question in from Mairead. Can you talk about how you keep the maps up to date? And Pete, I suppose this is back over to you again.
Yeah. So often with our map providers, they are releasing updates constantly, and we have really good relationships with them, particularly with the ones around us in East West and Harvey Maps, and with some of our newbies. They'll just send us updates, and we will then we have our own manual kind of processing system that we do here. So yeah, whenever they send us updates, we update them on the app. So and in fact, sometimes we will often get updates before they go to print, because print maps take a lot longer to produce than our maps. So yeah, particularly with Harvey Maps recently, we added Exmoor onto our maps before they actually got them printed out live, and then we received a lot of updates for their maps up in the Cairngorms that Adam and the crew over there just send over to us, send us the updated files, and we get them done in a matter of hours. So that's how we do it. In terms of the national maps, we do kind of run through them every now and then to keep them up to date as possible. And whenever we get notified of updates there, we do our best to kind of get that out of the way too.
Yeah, nice one. So we have Mark over on Instagram. I had to just copy it over. There's no way of the comments actually popping up here. So open access overlays, and I suppose this is more like a. It's not some functionality that we have at the moment. We don't have overlays necessarily, but he mentions about overlays and on wild camping permitted areas. But I guess overlays in general is something that people do like to see. I've seen like weather overlays and those are things like that. Is that something that we're thinking about in the future of the product? I suppose, Paul, over to you on that one.
It's something we're actively working on at the moment. So I have been reworking our database in order to basically restructure the way we can present this information. And it's enabled a lot of opportunities of how we can add new overlays to a map. So things like being able to see all of your own trails, all of your own recordings on any map. Another kind of hotly desired feature, let's say, which is seeing all of our amazing POIs on any given map on HiiKER, whether you're planning a trail, creating a trail, to see all the campsites, water spots, shelters, anything like that are all there. That is all coming very, very soon. It is a work in progress. There's a lot that kind of goes on behind the scenes to make that happen. But yeah, it's coming very, very soon. And it's something I'm very, very excited about as well. But with that will come the opportunity for, wild camping permitted area overlays. Again, it's a great idea. I know it's mentioned there in the context of Dartmoor, but honestly, for anywhere around the world, and deservedly highlighting entire countries like Scotland, where there is significantly better permissive rules for wild camping. So we want to highlight and celebrate those areas as well.
Yeah. So it just in terms of like the maps that we have, we don't want to go through like list one by one of all the different maps that we do have, but just some of the ones that are kind of more recent and maybe less known, because we know the big hitters: OS maps, East-West maps here in Ireland, Harvey maps in the UK as well, Compass maps in Germany. But recently we've been adding a few more kind of lesser known ones like Anavasi, which are based in Greece, that have like extensive coverage over some of the best areas. And Paul, now they don't actually have the island that we were on, Skiathos. They actually laughed at me. They were like, "That's not a hiking island." But the maps that they have there, now they're obviously in Greek, so you won't have the names down, but they do have some really beautiful, nicely designed maps there. There's another one as well. A little bit north, just down to the right of where you are. There's a really nice island, and that's the one there that you're just over. They recommend, I can't remember what it's called, but they recommend it.
Yes. Oh no, that's the Aegean.
Amorgos, that's the one. So that they recommended that this is the island to go to. So if anyone's looking for a hiking holiday in the heat, this is the place to go to, Amorgos, and you can use Anavasi maps, and you can use them in 3D.
Cool.
Class.
Yeah. And another one then is we just recently added over Eastern Europe in Romania and Bulgaria, and I think Hungary as well, possibly. Is another one called DMAP. And their maps I think they're really, really nice.
They're stunning. Yeah, they're really impressive. We always harp on about kind of Purple Lizard and things, but these guys are kind of the equivalent.
It's an area that is, because I remember back in the day when we added the E8 European long distance route, which is a trail that goes all the way from the coast of Cork as far as Turkey. Yes, a trail like that does exist. It is crazy. It batters our server when people view it online because it's just such a monster.
I was going to say I'll load it up, but I don't want to.
Don't put that pressure on us. But I remember one of this chatting to someone at the time who was planning on hiking it. It was how bereft they were of excellent maps in Romania. So this is an amazing addition.
Yeah. Romania is such a stunning country as well from a hiking perspective.
Like sure.
So many like incredible places over there, and Hungary and Bulgaria as well. I do believe they actually have some historical maps for certain areas as well. So we definitely want to get our hands on that. I do remember. Do you remember actually back to that island in Greece that we were on, Skiathos? Do you remember we spoke to what was her name from the trail?
The Lycian Way in Turkey, yes.
Yeah, I can't remember the woman's name. She basically discovered the trail and wrote the book. and yeah, when it comes to maps, she was like, everything it's all Russian maps. There are no like maps that you can
Yes.
buy for the trail.
Like Soviet era, yeah.
Soviet era Russian maps. Kate Clow.
Clow,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
one. Yeah. Definitely have to get our hands on those. We had another comment in there just about like maintaining regulations around wild camping. That's not something that we're going to be getting into. It's basically data that we will receive from an official source. We would never post something that is not coming from an official source. People's private land. That's never going to be something that we post. That's always going to be an issue in an app like ours, like where you have data coming from one source and another source is conflicting with that. But we have to, yeah, it's a tricky subject and probably not something we want to go into.
I do want to say very briefly on that answer, if you don't mind. I just wanted
to,
honestly, from our perspective, that's why it's so important that we keep these amazing maps, because people are changing these rules all the time, sometimes improperly, sometimes properly, but that's part of our motivation of having these multiple amazing maps, because ultimately maps are the reflection of what is in the world. And there's been plenty of times where people are claiming, oh, this is now private land and you can't have access to there. Or again, to the converse, where something is marked as being open, it's not. But again, the more documentation, the more maps that we have available out there, it helps to keep track of these things. And it's a core part of our motivation of why we need to have all of these amazing maps on our platform, because there's a whole amazing wilderness out there that has to be protected. And if this is kind of, having amazing maps is one small thing that we can do, well, then you can be sure, by golly, we'll do it.
Absolutely. So I guess that almost like that nicely segues onto the last little piece there, Paul. Like, what's the future of mapping within HiiKER, within the ecosystem?
I think my long-term vision for this has always been that we could have worldwide incredible topographic map coverage. And again, not just on OSM, but from national maps all around the world, from incredible, private map providers all around the world there. It's a huge task getting all these together. I'm sure Eoin and Pete, you guys know more than anybody else, just finding these people, getting in contact, getting access to these maps. It's a really, really tough task, but it's amazing. It really is. I feel like we're filling in a jigsaw of just incredible maps from all around the world. And it is my goal, and I think all of our goal, that we can get all of these maps onto our platform and have end-to-end coverage across the entire planet. If we can do that, I think that would be an audacious goal. And maybe it's something that we can never achieve, but it's something we'll constantly strive for.
Well, I think with that like we said it at the start, and we've mentioned it a couple of times throughout this, that we want to put the best maps on the planet, on the platform. That's what we want to do. And like, we are a small team. Look, this is 50% of the team are on this call right now, and the people that actually go out and get these maps are like myself and Pete, basically. Paul, you definitely help us out with that as well. So if anyone has recommendations for maps that we haven't got on the app yet, please do let us know. Either send us an email, pop it into the customer support channel, or jump onto the Facebook group. Join the Facebook group. Let us know what maps you want. Just throw up a little screenshot of the maps that you want, and we'll go get them. Because that's our ultimate goal, is to find the best maps in the planet. And another thing is that if we are covering an area of land with one particular map and you're like, that's not the best map, tell us about it.
Yeah,
and we'll fix that issue. So yeah, I'm excited to see that jigsaw puzzle be filled with all the different maps all around the world.
Definitely.
Ditto.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, lads, we'll leave it at that. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. If you still have any other questions, as I said, join the Facebook group, throw the questions in there, and we'll be back next week. Thanks, lads.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Bye.